Hi. So today I'm going to guide you through a few pelvic tilts which can help with the mobilization of the spine, and we're going to try and do that by engaging the abdominal muscles and making it a bit more of an abdominal workout. And then also I'm going to take you through a combination that I call tapping, which involves some toe taps and some curl-ups in between. So to start with, I'm going to get you to lie on your back. I tend to use the ball in between my knees. You could use a cushion. These are just a nice small stability ball. This for me just helps me keep a nice alignment through my thighs, activates the inside thighs a little bit, which helps engage the pelvic floor, and it just helps me track what's going on in my body. So I find it really good feedback. We're going to lie on the floor so your feet are hip distance apart. And you want to make sure your legs are comfortably underneath you. So they're not too close to your bum, but they're not too far away. So you're sort of finding a nice, comfortable position here. And just obviously making sure that the toes are in alignment. And we're just going to breathe. So I just want you to take a nice deep breath in. And then as you breathe out, gently try and find those abdominal muscles. Now your spine should remain in a neutral alignment, so it's got that natural curve in the lumbar spine, so we're not jamming that back into the floor. And we're just going to use that deep breath in to inflate the lungs. And then as you exhale, all the air vanishes from the lungs, and then that can help engage the abdominal muscles. So it's almost like you're feeling the corset tightening around your waist, and that's your transversus abdominis working. So we inhale and we feel the lungs expanding. And you're trying to expand out to the side, and then as you exhale, the air vanishes, and then it's easier to be able to find the abdominal muscles and just find that nice connection into there. We take a nice deep breath in. Now I want you to just be aware of the pelvic floor muscles and gently engaging the pelvic floor, just feeling a nice sort of lifting up in sensation inside of you, finding those P muscles. If you're wanting to go to the toilet and you're trying to stop yourself, you're just working those very gently, not over holding them. You're just finding that engagement. We take a nice deep breath in. Now as we exhale, I want you to find the connection between the rib cage and the hips and just flatten the spine. So we gently come into an imprint and we lengthen that spine into the floor. And then as you inhale, you release back out into that neutral alignment. So we take a nice deep breath in. And then as we exhale, we gently connect the abdominal muscles. The bum is nice and squidgy, so there's no muscles working in the glutes. You're just working the abdominals. And then we inhale and we release. We exhale. We gently find those abdominal muscles, drawing the rib cage to the hips. And then we inhale and we release. It is all very slow and controlled and deep and internal. You exhale. Now let's tilt the pelvis. So when you can't engage those stomach muscles anymore, it means that the bum then lifts a little bit to engage the pelvis and lifting up off the floor. And then we release down through the spine, back to that neutral alignment. The neck and shoulders aren't taking any tension. We breathe out. We connect those rib cage towards the hips. We scoop through those stomach muscles, and then we tilt that pelvis to lift it up off the floor. And I almost feel like my belly button's still being pulled down to the floor. And then I release through that back, one vertebra at a time, to be able to come back to that neutral alignment. We're going again, breathing out. Let's go up a little bit higher this time. So we're thinking 3/4 of the way up. So the belly button then lifts and you come into that lower rib cage. We take a nice deep breath in there. The knees are lengthening away from you. And we then scoop through from the chest. And it's like one vertebra at a time. It's rolling back down to the floor. And then you release at the bottom. Breathing out. Connect those rib cage. Find those tummy muscles scooping up and underneath the rib cage. And then it comes up a little bit higher. The neck is nicely open and the chest is feeling its nice smiley collarbones. And then we release all the way back down. And I'm gently squeezing on the ball just to be able to make sure that my legs aren't going to be going out to the side, and I can keep that tracking down through the leg. We then come up a little bit higher. Let's come up into a full bridge. So we come all the way up. Now we're not over lengthening, so my rib cage is still connected and I'm trying to feel a nice long line. So it's like a ski slope. We take a nice deep breath in here. And then from the rib cage, I'm scooping through those stomach muscles, lowering back down to the floor, one vertebra at a time.
until I release back into that neutral alignment. Just find where you need to be. I feel my heels need to be a bit closer to my bum, so just adjust wherever you feel is the right positioning for you. We scoop through the stomach muscles, shortening the distance ribcage to hips. Then the bum comes up off the floor. We then keep going, one vertebra at a time, peeling those spine. We find that nice length. Inhale and hold. And the ribcage can just expand to the side. And then we connect through the ribcage as we lower all the way back down through the spine. It should feel really quite nice into the back, and you're just stretching it all out. One more time, deep breath in. Exhale, connect ribcage to hips. Then we keep it scooping up and underneath the ribcage. Peeling that spine off. Find your ski slope position. Inhale, hold that position and expanding the ribcage out to the side. And then we exhale, we connect through the tummy muscles, rolling all the way back down through the spine, one vertebra at a time, and then release at the bottom. Good, okay, we'll get rid of the ball. So from here, we're going to just do some knee lifts. So you're going to start in this nice neutral alignment, and I just want you to feel that that corset around your middle is working nice and tight. We take a deep breath in to prepare. As we exhale, that corset tightens, and then you can just float one leg up to a tabletop position. So a tabletop should be 90-degree angle, knee directly over the hips, and the shin should be horizontal to the floor. We then take a deep breath in to prepare. That corset tightens, and then we can float the foot back down to the floor. And now I can adjust my feet again because I don't feel they need to be quite so close towards my bum. We're going with the other leg. We inhale to prepare. Exhale, that corset tightens, and then I float the foot off the floor to that tabletop. We inhale to prepare, the corset tightens, and then I can float that foot back down to the floor, toe, ball, heel. One more on each side. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, we tighten that corset. That leg just floats. So the leg should feel really nice and light. The tummy muscles are doing all the stabilization for you. We then take a breather in to prepare. And then we exhale, we place that foot back down to the floor, using those abdominals. One more, inhale to prepare, neck and shoulders are not taking any tension. Lifting that leg, the stomach muscles are really holding you nice and engaged. We inhale to prepare, and then we tighten that corset, and then the leg can float back down to the floor. Okay, now we're going to lift both legs up in the air. So we lift one leg first. Now, because we're going to lift the other leg, I want you to flatten into that imprint, and that will give you more stabilization through the spine. We then take a deep breath in, we then exhale and we lift the other one, and that corset around the body is working nice and tightly. So, we're going to tap one foot down to the floor. We inhale to prepare, and we exhale and we tap. And we inhale to bring it back up. Exhale as we tap. And then inhale to bring it back up. Now you're feeling a length through the front of the thigh, and then you're keeping that spine nicely held into the floor. So that connection between the ribcage and the hips does not change at all. There is no movement going on there in the slightest. It is all in the abdominal muscles. The leg just lengthens away, and you're really feeling that nice connection all the way around the middle. We've got one more on each side, lengthening it away. And bring it back up, and the last one, and bring it back up, and then place one foot back down to the floor, and then the other foot down to the floor, and then you can find that nice neutral spine. Give it a little bit of a wobble if you need to. And now we're going to add a curl up in between. So with the curl up, you're going to use those abdominal muscles to lift the head and shoulders up off the floor. So I don't want you to think into the neck and shoulders. I want you to think that the distance is shortening between the rib cage and the hips, and that is what's lifting the head and shoulders up, rather than you trying to pull the neck forward. It's all from the abdominals. So we lift one leg up to tabletop. We then lift the other leg up to tabletop. So that spine is nicely flat. The stomach muscles have got that corset on, and then we're going to take the hands behind the head. Now you can use the hands to gently push back into the head and the head to push into the hands, and that should mean that the neck doesn't take over for you. We then tap one foot down to the floor. We bring it back up. Now we curl up. And we look towards the middle of the thighs, and we lower it back down. We tap the other foot down. Squeeze. Bring it back up. Now curl. And bring it back down. Now lengthen through the front of the thighs, the spine is not arching, and then we curl. So at no point should that back escape from the floor. It should remain in contact all the way through, because those stomach muscles are holding it there. We tap the foot down, we bring it back up, we squeeze as we lift, and we lower back down. Elbows in peripheral vision, don't let them drop out to the sides too much, and don't bring them too much into the head. Keep it connected, and we curl up. And even I'm getting a shudder. We're going one more on each side. You can work really hard on this. And we squeeze, and we lower it back down, and we lengthen that thigh. We bring it back up. We breathe out as we curl. And lower it back down. Place one foot down to the floor. Lower the other foot back down to the floor. And then just have a moment to relax. Returning that spine to neutral. Give it a little bit of a wobble. You could bring your knees into the chest and just allow the legs to drop side to side, just to be able to release that spine, making sure that there's no tension being held there. Let's take it one step further. We're going to lengthen the leg to from tabletop. You're going to lengthen the leg away, bring it back in, lengthen the leg away and bring it back in. So one leg up to tabletop, other leg up to tabletop. Now find that imprint, so the spine is nicely held, the corset is in place. And we then inhale to prepare, neck and shoulders relaxed, and then you exhale and you're just feeling that toe lengthening away from you. And then we pull it back in with the stomach muscles. We lengthen the toe away and we're keeping that distance, ribcage to hips in place. And then as you return back in, it's the stomach muscles that are allowing that knee to be able to come back to its starting position. Lengthen the leg away. And then we draw it back in by using the tummy. We lengthen away, squeezing through. And then we return it back in. We lengthen it away. Now that toe should remain on the same line, the same horizontal line all the way through. It's just straightening out, lengthening it away, and then bringing it back in, one more on each side. Making sure that spine does not arch, and then we bring it back in, and this is the last one, lengthening it out, and then bringing it back in. Place the foot down, toe ball heel, and then release the back and just give it a little bit of a wobble. Okay, so next we have it with a curl up in between. So we take the hands behind the head, we bring that leg up to tabletop, we find that spine, we then bring the other leg up, so the stomach muscles are nicely held, so we lengthen the leg away, we bring it back in, now we curl up, and we bring it back down. Now the chin isn't jamming into the chest, the neck is just following the nice alignment of the spine as your eye line comes to about mid-thigh here and then lowers back down. We lengthen that leg away, but the back does not escape. We bring it back in. We curl up and we lower back down. Lengthen and squeeze and pull it back in and curling up. Remember that corset, so that corset tightens now. And then the foot can just float away, and then it controls on the way back in, and then we shorten the distance from ribcage to hips, and we lower back down. We've got 3 left. Lengthening the toe away, bring it back in, and then curl up and bring it back down. One more on each side, making sure those elbows are remaining in that peripheral vision. Don't let them drop out. We just use the abdominals to lift you up. And we lower back down. We've got one more. Squeezing through those tummy muscles, bringing it back in. And we curl up. And we lower back down. Place one foot down to the floor, other foot down to the floor. Lengthen those legs away. Reach the arms over the top of the head. Stretch through the body. Give it a little bit of a wiggle. And you're done.